Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode with iTrack. Big shout out to all the iTrack fam. Huge shout out to all the iTrack members, man. I appreciate you guys for tapping in like you always do. If this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy TikToks and kind of evaluate for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me. Smash that subscribe button and join the iTrack fam. And now let's just jump straight into it.
The average apple in a grocery store is over a year old.
Are you kidding me?
No, over a year old. We can make something look ripe. We could pick it green in Argentina or even locally, and then throw a gas called ethylene oxide on it, and it'll look like it's ripe. There is no mold, there is no fungus, there are no bacteria. They are perfect. Now, if a mold or bacteria isn't interested in eating those things, why in the world would we put them in our mouth?
It's crazy how the quality of food changed right before our eyes. I mean, everything was better back in the day, even fast food.
Okay, if you're at all mentally unstable or fragile, don't watch this one. So I've made a lot of videos about organoid intelligence in the past. That's where you take human brain cells and grow them in a petri dish and then use a computer to train them just like AI. They're actually more powerful than AI in that they learn quicker and are more energy efficient, but there are huge ethical concerns with them because they have similar brain activity to a premature baby. And there's a lot of people out there that object to these because there's a decent amount of evidence that they're conscious, just like a person. I recently posted a company called Final Spark, and they actually have something called Neural Platform where you can rent out essentially server space on these organoid brains, so you can pay for them to do things for you. This is a live stream of the organoid brain computers that you can rent out, but there's something way more concerning on their website, and that's this simulation which the brains are fed sensory data from, so that they can feel everything the butterfly feels and control it to fly around. The reason why that's terrifying is there's a good chance the brains, if they are conscious, just believe they are that butterfly. Because when they're not in use by someone purchasing their computational power, they just fly around and exist in that simulation. And you probably already see where I'm going with this, but if this is possible, you could make a pretty good case that we are just organoid brains somewhere and this is a simulation that we're in. And maybe when you daydream or just fall asleep, that's someone using your consciousness to do something else. I don't know, but crazy to think about, crazy times.
That actually just might make you drift off into the darkest parts of your brain and think some of the wildest stuff, because if they're using artificial brains and actually using it like a storage space of sorts, that's wild.
They've been hiding this from you. The Vatican archives aren't just old documents. They hold proof of ancient gods with advanced technology. But that's not even the craziest thing that was recently discovered. In leaked Vatican correspondence, there are hints of hidden texts saying, "These writings contain knowledge forbidden to the public." The archives have been guarded for centuries, so what are they hiding? This is where things get scary. In newly revealed whistleblower accounts, it's said that the Vatican archives aren't just historical records, but contain evidence of an advanced ancient civilization known as the Viracochas. The accounts specifically mention that the Viracochas, worshipped as gods, left behind documents and artifacts that detail advanced technologies and lost histories. However, once these documents were found, their contents were concealed, and the true history of the Viracochas was hidden to maintain the Church's control over historical narratives. This explains why access to the Vatican archives is so restricted and why the contents remain one of the world's most guarded secrets.
What if I told you there's a private AI tech company secretly replacing people with AI clones so lifelike that no one even realizes their loved ones are gone? A highly secretive AI company called VoxSynth has developed technology that can replicate someone's voice, mannerisms, and even personality with chilling accuracy. They aren't just making voice assistants or deep fakes. This company is abducting real people, using them as templates to create AI versions of them that seamlessly take over their lives, leaving family, friends, and colleagues completely unaware. VoxSynth targets individuals who live alone, who have minimal social connections, or travel often, people whose disappearance could be quietly covered up. Once someone is taken, the company's AI engineers create an AI clone that replicates the person's voice and personality so well that it can hold phone conversations and send texts to family and friends without raising suspicion. The AI persona tells everyone that they're simply relocating for a new job or traveling somewhere remote, and ensuring no one questions their absence.
The only creepy thing about that clip is that it actually might be true. It makes you think for a second, which one of my friends or family's list is not really visible, but I still keep in contact with them, right? Little bit creepy.
To ask him, I said, Rabbi, tell me the truth. Was there an Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? I mean, did these people actually live? And he said to me, look it, you've got Isis, Osiris, Horus. You've got Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. You've got Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Hey, we're Jews. We got to have something too, right? Everybody's got to have a triune God. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Osiris, Horus, Isis, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. So we got to have something. Okay, so we got Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. How do you like that? Well, was there an Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? I don't know. Was it an Osiris, Isis, and Horus? No. Well, it's just a story. There was no Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There was no Abraham. Abraham, the Jewish reference works will tell you, was Abram. Abram. Ab, A-B, in the ancient Hebrew meant father, and Ram was the ram, Aries the ram. He was your father for 2,000 years. He was your father. Abram. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is nothing more than the triune God. And the triune God is nothing more than the sun in the rising, the sun at 12 noon, and the sun in the evening. The newborn, the full-grown, and the man that died. So consequently, this is a fascinating material when you start talking to the rabbis and doing a research and you find out, my God, how long have you known this?
So I'm worried that what is going on right now is that we are being influenced through a campaign to be acclimated to an idea that might be true, but we're giving events that are not true in order to influence that idea. I don't know if I'm being clear. I am concerned right now that there are fake psyops, that there are things being done by the United States government to put fear and confusion into the American and global public about UAP for an agenda. So are you concerned at all that unprecedented events like this, that make zero sense, that they just think we're idiots, and that all of a sudden they're trying to create this fear of these unidentified unknowns, unknown origin, when it's so easy to track? George and I directly know and have been exposed to footage of high capability of looking at these types of things. That is fact. So, are you concerned at all that this is a charade?
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, yeah. If you can't trust your local news outlet to give you honest reporting, what can you really trust? Even the average TikToker is going to fluff the story up just a little bit. But I do have a video from one of the iTrack fans, so stay tuned. It looks pretty real to me.
Saturnalian Brotherhood, the worship of the planet Saturn. Saturn's color was black. The black, each one of the gods and each one of the planets were associated with a different color. Green was associated with Venus, and that's why today in Islamic countries today you will see all of their flags and harlotry in Islamic world are in green. And you'll see the crescent with the star. Many people think the crescent is the crescent of the moon, but it is not. According to the actual research documents, the crescent on the Islamic flags is the crescent of the planet Venus. And the star represents Venus. It is a religion that is based on the worship of Venus, but which has incorporated the Saturnalian philosophy in it. So, like all the other religions, it is also a very eclectic religion.
Imagine a body that doesn't decompose, even centuries after their death. Last night, I was talking to my son about the incorrupt bodies of saints, and I was like, why not talk about it on my page? So when we think of the cycle of life, we normally think of being born, living, dying, and returning back to earth through decomposition. But what if I told you that there are bodies throughout history that just don't rot? No decay, no smell, regardless of the type of burial, temperature, moisture, or even rough handling. Just perfect preservation. These incorruptible corpses are said to be saints, and the cause for this phenomenon cannot be described by science or reason. The Catholic Church sees this as divine intervention and considers it a miracle. For example, let's talk about Saint Bernadette, famous for her visions of the Virgin Mary. She passed away in 1879 at the age of 35 and was buried in Nevers, France. In 1909, 30 years after her death, her body was exhumed for the first time. It was found that no natural decomposition had taken place. It just looked like she was sleeping. I actually read that they hired an atheist to conduct the forensic examination. He opened up her abdomen and noted that there was no odor coming from her body. In fact, he said that he smelled the scent of roses. He then went on to examine her internal organs and found no signs of decomposition, with fresh blood dripping from her liver. How is that even possible? I swear, I need to make a series talking about weird stuff that I find interesting, because this is stuff that I read about on a daily.
Now that's worth doing some homework on. I haven't heard any kind of information about why a body wouldn't decompose, because as far as I know, as soon as your spirit, your soul leaves your body, game over. It's just a corpse, it's just a shell. So that is extremely interesting.
The secret to how they traveled faster than light, they were not willing to share. The idea of us having our own spacecraft traveling faster than the speed of light with nuclear weapons on board heading for their home planet, they didn't see where that was in their interest. And so when I say they were doing technology transfer with the Air Force, that was a negotiation where both sides mutually agreed that it was in their interest to do so. The tall whites live probably 10 times longer than we do. They live almost 700 years.
The creator of the video that I tagged below said something that is actually terrifying. She said, what if the aliens are not coming? They're leaving. And that really gave me pause, because we've always assumed that all of this activity that we're seeing is them coming onto our planet, like, what do they want from us? And with the government supposedly believing that they're at the bottom of our oceans, and the massively increased activity that we're seeing, you cannot tell me that every single one of those things is fake. I experience stuff myself. I've seen it with my own eyes. So that does beg the question, why is there so much activity right now before 2025, like now in December, before January? It's not good. No, it's not good. The only reason why any species leaves a place is because of danger, because of threat. You see that in the forest, right? When the forest starts burning, you see animals running in the opposite direction. In times of war, people flee. They go to other countries. They migrate. It's giving extinction. I feel like we have to laugh so that we don't cry. If anybody has any theories as to why they could potentially be leaving, I'm open to hearing them.
Now, I'm not going to lie. There's some cap detected there. As quick as those UAPs are, and, those ships and everything that we see in the sky, they would be out of here so quick we probably wouldn't even see them, right? But instead, they seem to be just hanging out. So I don't know about that theory.
Meta is building a massive underwater internet cable that will connect 3 continents and stretch over 24,000 miles. This $10 billion project is called W because of its shape and runs from the US East Coast to India, then to Australia, and back to the US West Coast. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp account for over 20% of all mobile internet traffic. So this cable will let them control their own data highways instead of relying on others. India is the key destination. With over 1 billion users across Meta's apps, India has become their biggest market. Some think Meta might use this cable to build massive AI training centers in India, where computing costs are much lower than in America. When finished, it will be Meta's first fully owned underwater cable system, marking a new chapter in how tech giants control internet infrastructure.
When I look at a clip like this, the first thing that comes to mind is why would Meta be building something like this if the world was coming to an end? Then I look even deeper into it and then I say, well, Mark Zuckerberg is building like a $300 million bunker to hide from something, right? And then I look even deeper and I say, okay, well, they are building AI to replace a lot of human jobs. So maybe there is some kind of extinction happening somewhere in between there. You got to connect the dots, right? Let me know what you think down below.
You were part of the group that stormed Area 51 yesterday on December 1st. They got together with all their motorcycles and their, it looks like some of them have some sports utility vehicles there out front. But here is when they said, let's go. And they cruised over the sand dunes all the way to the front gates and they charged through the gates. I think some of them got shot down, but one of them, his name is Jaime Gutierrez, and he said that he thinks he saw an alien finger hanging outside of a box. He said it was outside of one of the main buildings, and he was detained and put down on the ground and arrested, but he said he could see out of the corner of their eye there was a box, and it looked like there was an alien finger hanging out. And so I think it's quite incredible evidence that we might not be alone in this universe. I don't know if I agree with their means of storming Area 51. I think maybe they should have just, had a frank conversation with the government of like, we want to know what's going on in there. But what do you think? And were you part of this group?
Stop the cap. That's definitely not enough evidence. Come on, man.
What's up with the mysterious drones that have been flying over New Jersey for weeks?
I'm not even kidding. It's like the size of our RV.
There's 3 right there.
There's a 3rd. This is insane.
Groups of drones have been spotted flying over parts of northern New Jersey at night. And from what we can tell, it's been going on for at least 2 weeks. One resident says he's seen the drones almost daily, sometimes as many as 8 at a time. He estimated the larger drones to be the size of a car. The FBI has confirmed they're looking into it, but say they don't have any specifics to share as of Monday morning. Have you seen groups of mysterious drones in your area?
American people have no idea, really no idea, about the immensity of the threat in space. And I've made this comment in a classified setting that I wish the American people could be present in this room, not this room, but the skiff, because our adversaries know what they are doing. We know what they are doing. They know we know what they are doing. But the American people have no idea. But if they were privy to what we hear, and you know it much better than we do because you live it, I think they'd be pretty alarmed. This is not by way of criticism of you because you're living with the strictures of what is classified and not, but I think we have a real obligation to explain to the American people why space is a domain that matters, why the threats there are real and urgent, why they are growing in importance. So I think we all agree here that space is an important domain. Undersea warfare is an important domain.
Blood has the same chemical composition as the stars. Iron, which is primarily the constitution of this meteorite, has the exact same chemical structure as in your blood. There's a molecule called hemoglobin. It's almost identical to the chlorophyll molecule that plants have, except chlorophyll has a magnesium atom at the center of its chemical matrix. But in hemoglobin that's going through your veins right now is iron. That iron came from that supernova. Eventually your mother, and the food that you eat has some iron in it, and then your body starts to produce blood. And that blood has the same chemical composition as the star.
Is happening with, what can you tell us about these drones? What I would tell you, Jennifer, is that they are being actively monitored. Installation leaders have determined so far that none of these incursions impact the base residents, the facilities, or the assets that we have on those bases. We're, of course, continuing to work with host nation authorities and our mission partners to ensure the safety of our personnel, our facilities, and equipment. The bottom line is it's something that we're going to take seriously. We're going to continue to look into it. But as of right now, it's not had any significant mission impact.
Some issues with the reporting on how this is being reported, and not drones. Let me be very clear. This isn't conspiracy. This isn't craziness. They are not drones. We had the same situation at Langley Air Force Base in February. They were there for 16 nights and they could not disperse. This is the same thing all over again. It's really, really, really important that we stick to the facts.
There's different things that will happen to you if you sleep in different directions.
Okay.
So specifically, this is west. I actually looked into it.
Okay.
So you're sleeping west.
I'm sleeping like this.
Yeah, this way.
Yeah.
Right? Toward the house. Now, west is that's the most relaxing, but it's also the most comfortable. So you can get lazy, or you can get like you don't feel like doing stuff.
Yeah, that's real shit.
No, like I actually Googled it, right?
Yeah.
And east, it makes you feel the most inspired, but also like almost restless. So it's like you feel
the opposite.
Doing a lot, doing a lot, but you won't sleep a lot.
Okay.
In when we were in the condo,
yeah,
I was sleeping east. I was facing a direction.
You're
east.
Going this way.
Yeah, east.
Yeah, east.
Yeah.
And you're restless.
And that's restless. Fam, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. Well, mans were motivated. Mans were motivated, right?
Yeah.
So one of the worst apparently is sleeping north.
So this way.
Yeah, apparently one of the worst is sleeping north. But it's because what happens is like if you lay down and you can imagine like your body's here.
Yeah.
The blood will rush to your head because of the magnetic pull of the north.
Now, there is something to that. There's this thing called feng shui, the way the energy flows in your house, in your room, things like that. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept.
I watched the full congressional hearing of the UAP. Basically, what they're saying is that it's a very secretive program. But then they break down different types of UAPs. This one was a disc that said that they use the clouds as concealment, or they appear as clouds. One that was observed by the U.S. military was in between 200 and 400 meters in diameter. That was using the clouds as concealment.
That's so scary.
This is in Congress. They're reading this.
It's real.
Yes.
Oh.
They call it the Boomerang or Arrowhead UAP, one of the more rare UAPs to see. It says the UAP is observed rapidly decelerating to a stationary hover, followed by the sudden emission of a sphere of light from the junction of the two wings, which expand to partially engulf the craft in a rotating sphere of light. And it says that's where the footage ends.
Literally like a Star Wars jump to hyperspeed.
Yeah. Solomon, when God said, "What do you want?" He said, "I want wisdom." He says, "I'm going to give you all the wisdom." And Solomon was the one that built the temple. Was he given part of that wisdom, maybe not that technology, but the wisdom to create these mega structures, putting these giant blocks into place? Because, the Temple Mount, they have these huge stones.
Yeah. We talk a lot about Solomon and the mystery schools of Babylon, right? So one of the things, the secret societies that we see now, the Masons, the Illuminati, these secret societies, they are charged with carrying this sacred knowledge. This is part of what they do. They hold this secret, sacred knowledge. Solomon himself strayed into the mystery school space. He was trying to acquire all of this knowledge. At that point in time, the ideas of the mystery schools of Babylon were actually real things. It's an interesting concept here. Did he get some of that knowledge when he asked for wisdom? Or did he acquire some of that knowledge through the mystery schools of Babylon? Because this is supposed to be, according to them, take it what it is, but they're supposed to hold pre-flood secrets that were passed down because they ascribed their, quote, theology or their mantra stuff to, essentially lines up as either a Nephilim or a Watcher Angel. These are these people that had these ideas of construction. They had gifts in construction.
Tulpa effect. Have you ever heard of this?
I haven't heard of the Tulpa effect. What's that?
The idea stems from Buddhist ideology. It's basically this idea that if enough people believe that something is real, it can actually manifest in the real world. That's the general gist. A tulpa exists in a shared mind and it has its own identity and autonomy, and they're entities that are just strictly generated in the mind. But unlike something like an imaginary friend who we kind of control, tulpas can just completely act and think on their own once they're manifested in the real world. The difference with tulpas is that they are their own entities in the end of the day.
That would be wild if that was the case, if they weren't really real, but since everybody's in fear or has an idea about them, they start to manifest themselves. That's pretty wild. Let me know what you think about that.
I heard the theory that it goes back to Tartaria, that the Great Wall of China, it's actually facing the wrong way. So like the holes that they would shoot arrows out of is facing towards China. It's suspected that another nation, it could have possibly been Tartaria.
That's super strange. Speaking of ancient, like the wall being built by something else, someone else possibly, you want to talk about that Chicago World Fair?
Yeah.
It was a hidden secret civilization, they say, because there's pictures that were published in the Chicago newspaper.
It looked like ancient Rome. So they said that they built it for the World Fair, but then after they just tore it all down. And it's like, that doesn't sound
Why would you do
right?
that? It's absolutely beautiful.
It reminds me of that whole conspiracy theory that we just skip all those years. They rewrote the year of history that it was, and so we actually are living in right now
1500s or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Now would be difficult because they have just the digital footprint that we have.
Yeah.
But it's like, it would be so easy just to convince people, this just didn't happen.
It's that whole Mandela effect thing.
I think it's confirmed. Like, it literally existed. Like, and so it's just, why get rid of something like that? I don't know. Maybe they just thought, back in the day, they wasted a lot of money.
But that's because the brain wants what the brain gets. And if you're not giving the brain the steady diet of that, it may do things.
And I would use the word diet in that case.
Yeah. So I don't know.
What I want to say about the bipolar thing is, because it has the word bi in it, it has the idea of like this split personality. Well, that works for me because I'm a Gemini, but when you ramp up, it expresses your personality more. You can become almost more adolescent in your expression or border into places. This is my specific experience that I've had over the past 2 years, because I've only been diagnosed for 2 years now.
Can I ask you about this? Because I'm fascinated. They say that we know more about the universe than we do about the human mind.
If I told you that the Church of England banned Christmas in 1647, well, you can't spell Santa without Satan. So, is Santa Claus really Satan, the devil in disguise? Think about it. Do you really believe people just made up a story about a 350-pound man stuffing himself down your chimney? No. The World Book Encyclopedia admits that this concept originated from the Norse legend of Hertha, a so-called goddess who would appear in fireplaces to bring good luck to the home. A devilish spirit could easily pass through a chimney in a fireplace, right? And it doesn't stop there. Druid homeowners would leave treats, milk, and pastries to appease this god who came down their chimneys. Sound familiar? That's right, it's all about worship. Even today, many religions leave milk and food in front of their idols. Now let's talk about stockings, leaving them out for Santa. This tradition is eerily similar to witchcraft practices, where socks or personal items are used in spells to target the victim. Just like how, as kids, we're told to leave teeth out for the tooth fairy. It's the same trap. So, yes, Santa will leave you some great gifts in your stockings, for sure. Oh, and here's the kicker. The word Santa is a true anagram of Satan. Yet many people believe Santa Claus is based on a priest named Saint Nicholas. But guess what? That priest never even existed. The Second Vatican Council in the 1970s openly admitted it was all a fabrication. And don't forget, people used to call the devil Old Nick. They're rubbing it right in your face. Some speculate this nickname comes from German and Scandinavian words, starting with Nick, which were used for dangerous supernatural creatures. So, who's really coming down your chimney this Christmas? Follow my backup account and leave a comment for part 2, because there's more to this than meets the eye. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is just a joke for entertainment purposes.
This video is insane. My partner just sent it to me. He's in the mountains outside of Bogota in Colombia, and he was thinking of the ETs in the mountains over there. There's a lot of ET activity in the hills, and he literally just looked over and saw that floating tree. I'm not even kidding. Here's some pictures of it. Let me know what you guys think. I think they were saying hi.
more tonight about the massive Chinese hack into phone systems right here in the U.S. Federal authorities acknowledging for the first time Chinese hackers successfully stole data from hundreds of thousands of Americans, hacking at least 8 telecommunication companies, and now suggesting Americans who don't want their text messages and conversations stolen by China to use apps for encrypted messaging. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee telling ABC News millions of Americans could potentially be impacted by a massive Chinese hacking and espionage campaign. Authorities now say at least 8 American telecommunications giants were compromised as part of a recently discovered global hacking operation. The news coming as ABC News learned U.S. authorities suspect the data of hundreds of thousands of U.S. mobile phone users was stolen, with more than 1 million unsuspecting consumers likely affected.
Senator, just how serious is this issue?
This is the worst telecom hack in United States history.
According to the FBI, the Chinese government stole a large amount of data, including who the phone users were talking to, when they spoke, and where they were communicating from. In some cases, the Chinese hackers were able to read text messages and to actually listen in on conversations of a small group of high-profile Americans. But officials today also acknowledging the massive privacy implications for so many average Americans. Tonight, they're urging consumers to use encrypted apps for their communications, including text messages and voicemail recordings.
Officials acknowledge that those hackers are still in those phone networks and say it will take some time to get them out, David.
Saying not just politicians and government leaders, but everyday Americans, too, in this country affected by this Chinese hack. Pierre Thomas, this is something. Thank you.
You know, that actually would explain the rising usage of WhatsApp and Telegram, right? Like, privacy is definitely important. So the American government definitely has to get that together.
A juicy, sizzling steak made by computer. While obtaining regular meat is a process that's been taking place for millennia, cow, butcher, beef. Redefined Meat, a meat alternative startup out of Israel, makes their product using a highly technical process. The mix of soy and pea protein, chickpeas, beetroot, nutritional yeast, and coconut fat is formed into steak-like shapes using a 3D printer.
Our goal is to become the largest meat company in the world just by harnessing technology instead of animals.
Meat substitutes are not new, but unlike the soy-based crumbles that mimic ground beef, Redefined Meat's product is designed to act, taste, and cut like flank steak.
This is the holy grail of alternative meat.
But the most important part, how does it taste? This diner was happy.
I think the most important thing about that is as long as they're disclosing, whether you're eating fake meat or not. Some of these grocery stores and restaurants aren't even telling you. So you might not even be eating the real thing, but they're going to call it the real thing, right? Craziness. What do you think about that? Big shout out to Jason and Julian. They're part of the iTrack fam. They sent me that clip. I always ask, who has seen these actual UAPs in the sky? And that is a very clear clip. You can see night vision. There's something going on in the sky, and everyday people are watching and seeing what's going on. Very creepy, man. Hey, big shout out to you guys for that.
Behold a new classic UFO video. This is far off the coast of Southern California last night, December 4th. A fleet of UAP in formation begin descending into the water. Remember, this is far off the coast. They are not flares and they are not drones. There was nothing reported of that type in the area, but police were dispatched and they were all over this, but they can't do anything. There was about 40 different angles of this that I got in my email box. This was the best one. This is very legit looking. They're here.
Someone called the cops on these lights. See, even the police, they're going crazy. aliens are attacking. Oh my god, now cars are, they're starting to notice. Here comes another, fire truck.
This UFO is literally just sitting there. Not much movement. It was a lot closer before. That's crazy. I know, right? I don't know what I think they're just monitors. They're just looking. They're just observing.
They're making themselves known. This is the year of aliens.
True. They're letting themselves be known. It's been there for like, I don't know what it is. Right now, it's kind of just monitoring. Just watch. Oh my god, it's stuck. Literally not moving.
Hey, I've been seeing him so much. It's like I can almost put a name to it, right? That look like the jellyfish UAP UFO, right? Like that's wild, right? It's getting out of control out here, man.
Can somebody explain why the sun has got another sun, which looks like there, on the other side, and that's a big rainbow all the way round, and then what was the other one, Dad? There, and then there's another bigger circle as well. What the heck is going on?
How to become one of the ruling elite. Step 1. Offer your soul to a dark cosmic entity such as the Hungering One, the Black Star, or Molbach the Devastator. Step 2. Obtain power via unscrupulous business practices, political corruption, military conquests, or a combination of the three. Step 3. Manipulate, oppress, disenfranchise, and brainwash the masses for your personal gain. Step 4. Offer the souls of the masses to your entity of choice. Step 5. Lose any semblance of your humanity, becoming a soulless ghoul. Step 6. Create media and propaganda that portray your faction as the morally superior one while vilifying your critics. Step 7. Collaborate with other power-hungry abominations. The world is now in your grasp.
He should have just said how to end up the devil's play toy after you think you have it all, right? Craziness. Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for stopping by and watching another one with me. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me. Smash that subscribe button. Join the iTrack fam. And I'll catch you on the next one, man.